Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Living a Full Life, a really fun podcast this week. We got three-time Miss Olympia, Whitney Jones, here with us. She's going to tell us all about fitness and health and being a mom. She's got two boys. Thanks for being with us. This is so great.
Heck yeah, I appreciate it. Honored. So I know we're going to have fun. Come on, that's all we do, right?
Yeah, I ran into you a couple years ago, and I was like, and you put out the offer. You're like, if you guys need anything from me, reach out. And I did. And you're one of the busiest people I know. So 2 years later, here we are, and we got a podcast going. Super great. I'm very grateful. This is good. Let's talk about fitness. I mean, this is something, the word fitness is really not understood. I don't think people really understand what fitness is. They mix it all with health, and then they put this fitness thing on a pedestal, and they think everyone needs to look like Whitney Jones and Ryan Reynolds. And I'm like, you don't need to do this.
No.
You don't, right? So how do you define it? How did you get into all of this, and how did it naturally progress to this type of, level?
Well, gosh, fitness is all encompassing, to be honest. And I do like that because my definition could be totally different from yours or anyone else's. Basically, though, fitness needs to be fun. It's being active. It's working to better your health. However you define that, For me, I've been an athlete all my life, just trying to do anything and everything growing up. I love challenges. I'm kind of driven by that, which is what propelled me to get into the sport that I'm currently in as a competitive athlete. I'm a pro athlete. I'm in the bodybuilding world. I'm not a bodybuilder, though. Like, I don't get on stage and flex. My division, it's called the fitness division, ironically. So it's very generic title because there's bikini and men's physique and figure. Mine is fitness, where I do a 2-minute routine. So it's athletic, it's acrobatic. You're doing backflips, choreography. So you have 2 minutes. We have some mandatory moves, and then you can be as creative as you want. They, of course, judge your physique. My niche in my style is I do breakdancing, ironically. Incorporated with a lot of like crazy, interesting, unconventional flips and tricks. So I love it because it allowed me to have an outlet to be active and work hard, but it was so challenging because I have no former experience. I've never been a gymnast. I haven't been trained to do anything the right way. So I'm truly self-taught on trying to figure out, how do you do these crazy backflips? How do you learn breakdancing? But on the internet, you can learn anything these days. So truly, on paper, I should have never, ever made it to the pro level. But I just have no fear. And when you have that belief in yourself and you love that challenge to work towards, it gave me an opportunity to really just have something positive to focus on that I could control. As you mentioned, I'm a mom of two boys. I'm a single mom, tons of responsibility with that. And I love it. That's literally my biggest pride and joy, my best accomplishment. And I also own 6 businesses. So I'm a crazy busy person. And I needed an outlet like this where I could say, no matter how the day goes, I can control what I do in the fitness world to help better myself, to give me that mental and emotional escape, and to keep myself accountable to staying in shape, staying healthy, so that I'm here for my boys and here for my companies. So this just happened to be this crazy hobby that I enjoyed. And I'm now, 14 years in as a pro athlete, and it's been one wild ride.
Yeah, it took off, right? And that's because you enjoyed it,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So these things don't have to take off. You don't have to be the next Miss Olympia,
Totally.
but invigorating your life with something you enjoy can really fulfill it, right? It's filled your entire life, and all your 6 businesses are probably tied together in one way or another, based on health and wellness and fitness and everything that you do, right?
Yep.
So
they all are.
that's super cool. When it comes to just exercise in general, now, as a chiropractor, you had me cringing every time I talked to you about the injuries you will put yourself through, crazy stuff. And, we try and prevent these things for our patients. So I spent most of my career preventing injury for people. But when I run into a Whitney every now and then, I just bite my tongue. And I'm like, we'll just help you afterwards, and we'll see what you do to yourself. So that's okay. What is the way to get into this, and what did you find to be the most motivational or the most changing ways to stay consistent with any type of exercise?
Well, the thing is we can choose, right? And we have to learn to listen to our bodies. That's one thing as an athlete and being active. I wish I knew years ago the importance of taking care of your body, listening to your body, being very consistent with stuff like chiropractic work to keep your body in alignment and keep your body healthy, with stretching, what you do pre-workout, what you do afterwards for recovery. I've had, as you know, tons of injuries. I've had 18 surgeries. Now, what I do is very extreme in the sport because, again, I'm trying crazy unconventional trips and tricks and like flips and things.
Mhm.
So it is at our top level in my sport, there are countless injuries. However, with each injury, it sets you up for you're just more susceptible. So, it's important to realize now at whatever age that there's things you can do to be preventative, proactive, to eliminate any injuries. And then unfortunately, if it does happen, you need to have the right care. You need to do the right things. Now, I truly believe our bodies do crave movement and we need to be in motion. So even when I have had some pretty crazy injuries, I feel way worse if I stay stagnant. So it's like getting the blood flowing, making sure that you're stretching, doing all these basic things that anyone can do, even when you're recovering from an injury, is crucial. So you've constantly got to keep your body focused in movement, mobility, because that's what's going to keep us younger and keep us, aging gracefully. But it to me, every setback is a challenge. I'm obviously, as I said, I'm driven by challenges. If life's too easy, I don't know what to do with myself because life's never been easy. So, whatever it is that I'm hit with, there's always a way to find the bright side and go, you know what? How can I overcome this? And how can I not just survive, but thrive? And what can I learn from this? And make sure that I don't go down this path again. So, in a way, not to say that I welcome horrible things or welcome injuries, but there's always a lesson in it. And when you can't control it, what can you do to be positive as you deal with it? To me, that's where I figure I'm the strongest. People say, oh, look at your muscles. You're so strong. Honestly, it's the mind. I would never, ever have the success that I have if I wasn't strong in the mind, if I wasn't constantly learning, if I wasn't constantly trying to surround myself around people who constantly are learning more things and teaching me and sharing their knowledge. So it's a process of always being a student.
Yeah, I love it. And do you feel like when most of your injuries, the bad ones, were when you pushed yourself too far, or when you were being consistent?
When I pushed myself too far. I mean, and truly not listening to my body. There's always some warning signs that you can either choose to ignore or, gonna take a step back. And for example, when I blew out my ACL, I was doing this very unique flip, this one-legged diagonal flip where I land in a push-up. So it's not a normal trick. So I had nothing to really learn from. It was just an idea I had in my head. I had some warning shots on a few failed ones before, and I just could feel the pain in my hip, probably out of alignment. I could feel it going down my glute and hamstring. And I kept pushing. I kept trying to do it again. And of course, what happens? I blew out my knee, tore my ACL, my MCL, my meniscus. It was ridiculous. And all I could do is sit there after I heard it pop and go, I knew I was setting myself up and I wasn't listening to myself. Now, there have been other injuries that, again, I'm too tight, I'm too sore. It's always a learning lesson of going, what could I have done differently to prevent this? And, sadly, there's some things that just came on fast and furious, and I didn't know that what I could do. But again, it's par for the course in my sport. Not that it's fun, but we know what we're getting into, and it does set yourself up for injuries.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of the moms are listening right now and they're like, well, it wasn't a back diagonal flip into a push-up that tore my ACL. It was the 3-mile run I tried to push myself over the last 4 months to build up to like a half marathon. And that's That's typically what we hear there. But I love what you said. And you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. Listening to your body. I mean, catching these warning signs for you when you have a target date of a performance. I mean, it's tough. You gotta hit it because you worked so hard to get there. But for the rest of us, you know, we can postpone that half marathon to the next one. We don't have to run it in Phoenix. We can wait till the Scottsdale one 6 months down the road. So that's the things that I think are what preventative health is all about, is just listening to your body. That's what prevention is before things can happen. And we're talking about great things like exercise. I mean, that's just a great thing to do. And that's preventative in itself because it keeps you strong. So that's awesome. So going through, how do you keep strong? I know you're only 38 years old, but how do you keep strong after all these years?
I'm actually 46, but I love that you said 38.
Take it, Whitney.
Like, oh, you know, how old are you? Oh, I shouldn't ask. I don't care. I don't mind. My maturity level is probably 13, to be honest. But you know, I love it. It's like each year your birthday comes around and it's like, whatever. We can be whatever age we want. And I feel better now than I even did when I turned 30, which is ironic. Wow. But, you know, I love just finding new things that keep it interesting. You know, you get in a rut, you get unmotivated because if you're doing the same thing over and over, first of all, your body's not challenged anymore. So you need to keep your interest peaked all the time. So for me, it's trying different things. You know, last year I was really into pickleball and I loved it because it was that's the new trend and everyone was doing it. You know, for me, I go to the gym, but I've done that my entire life. So the gym itself just isn't fun, but that's why I love the fitness division. So I'll do a little bit, if it's say a shoulder day, I'll do a little bit of shoulders and then I go do handstands and a bunch of skill work upside down that are still engaging my shoulders. Or I'll do a plyo workout for some cardio and just create this circuit that's high intensity and includes back flips and toe touch jumps and just stuff that's just different because I can choose what I want to do. And if I'm not interested or engaged that day, then I need to change it up. And each year I try to do something new that is active that will constantly keep my interest peaked. And this year I started jujitsu and Muay Thai and I'm hooked. I love it. So I don't think I'll be quitting that. And it's a totally different style of activity for me, but I love it because like jujitsu itself as the form of martial arts, it's almost like a chess match. So it's testing me physically as well as mentally because it's not a matter of like beating your opponent and like submissing them completely. I mean, that is the goal, but you've got to do it in a very strategic way. You're getting in a certain position defensively. How do you get out? And so I love that because it's a different style of training that engages different parts of my brain, different physical elements. And, you know, again, it's trying to keep yourself motivated and doing new things, constantly learning. That also opens you up to meet a ton of new people if you're constantly trying to do different activities. And then it keeps you devoted to your goals. I constantly want to feel good with my heart health. I want to be able to challenge my boys in a foot race down the street. Anytime they want to throw down, I'm there. I'm your girl and I will beat my boys. So how do I do that? Well, you got to keep yourself interested and engaged and constantly learning.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. See, so a wide variety of total things, but I love what you said. I hate the gym, but I got to keep it fun, but I still go to the gym, right? So you still do the things that you know that work and have worked for you.
Sure.
That's fantastic. So just keeping health minded and all this. When in my particular journey, I just turned 40 and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And it's been 15 consecutive months and it's been really cool to do that. And some of my limiting beliefs that are in my head are the things that I've been taught, like the scale, like you gotta use the scale. And the scale has been my worst enemy through this whole thing because it makes zero sense to me how for 15 months I have dropped 1.1 pounds. Like it makes, and for 6 days a week at the gym and all that. But other factors that I've been using to measure things like lean muscle density and all that other thing, completely different picture. I mean, you know, you go from 158 to 173 in lean muscle mass. You're like, well, these are huge numbers and the scale's not showing anything. So that's cool. So what are some myths that you think jeopardize people from staying consistent or maybe sabotage their efforts over time? What are some of the things that you've seen?
So the scale is by far, especially for women, it's the biggest sabotage element because again, you're gaining lean muscle mass, and 5 pounds of muscle versus 5 pounds of fat is drastically different. I have it at my
Yeah,
gym. But
seen it.
again, you look at this is 5 pounds of muscle, and then 5 pounds of fat is like this. So how that's distributed amongst your body can totally change. So even though, like you said, your scale hasn't changed, but your body composition is completely different. Your clothes are fitting looser. You've got definition in your body. So one thing I always say, as you looking at yourself every single day, you're not going to ever notice the changes until you hit drastic changes. That can be deflating. So if the scale is not being your friend, you're going to be totally just, I give up. It's defeating. If you're not seeing with your own eyes these massive changes, then you give up. I always tell people day one, take pictures. No one has to see it. Do front, back, and side profile, not sucking in, let you be all natural. Keep that, because in those moments that you're questioning yourself, put that same, bikini or underwear on and look at your body and go, okay, I do see changes. As a trainer myself, that is my job. So I can tell people your body is changing. And they're like, I am telling you, Whitney, it is not. And so I will pull up these photos and go, really? Look at your waist, look at your hips, look at your shoulders, look at your chest. And they're like, oh my gosh. And it's kind of common sense. Like, how have you not seen this? But it's very difficult for someone who sees themselves every day to notice these changes. So that's the biggest, I'd say, issue in helping people stay consistent, because, when you see 10 pounds weight loss on a scale, that's motivating. And you're like, oh, I can do this. I'm going to keep going. Until you see these things with your eyes, you think, I give up. And you've got to look at other things. Also, outside of how you look physically, how are you feeling? Do you have more energy? Do you have more mental clarity? Do you feel ambitious when you get up? There's simple things like the amount of water you drink a day and the amount of sleep you get at night that are crucial elements to your overall health and your overall well-being, like mental well-being. So if you're staying consistent, exercise is just one element, a foundational ground to get you better. But it also leads into making you focus on, what am I putting in my mouth? Am I fueling my body properly? Am I getting enough sleep? Am I drinking enough to stay hydrated? So whatever you're doing, it starts opening up your brain to go, I could do better in this area. And I'm not doing enough. And this is ridiculous over here. So if I really want to improve, there's multiple things you can do. So heck, say you have a bad eating day. So what? Get more sleep, stay hydrated, get in the gym, look at all the different things you can do each day that's going to help move you forward towards your goal and feeling better. And no one's perfect. So I always have to tell clients, you've got to give yourself some grace. No one is perfect on a diet. Any of my clients that say that, I'm like, you are full of it, because I know it's really impossible, especially for the long term. So you have to allow yourself some flexibility. You and I have talked about kind of eating, and everyone will say, oh my gosh, you're so lean. You must just eat chicken and vegetables all day. And I'm like, heck no, I'd be a lunatic. I would lose my mind if I didn't have some fun. So I have a cheat meal at least once a week. Sugar works for me, I have found. So, sometimes I'll have Oreos almost every day, believe it or not. And I time it around certain things, like around my workout, where my body's going to burn that sugar anyways. But allowing yourself to have some flexibility in what you eat makes it way easier to stay accountable to eating healthy versus just feeling like this is boring and I'm eating the same thing every day and it feels torturous. So you've got to allow yourself a good balance. And I know that sounds cliche, but if you're going to the gym every day, it's too much. You need rest days. If you're eating immaculate every single day, That's too much. Your body needs a break to reward you when you are eating healthy. So go have a cheat meal and don't go overboard, but allow yourself to indulge in something that you've been craving. Because again, mentally, if you know you have a cheat meal at the end of the week, you're going to be much better about staying on point to your diet and eating healthy and making better choices, knowing you get a reward at the end of the week.
Yeah, yeah. The easier you make it for yourself, the more likely you are to stick to a new lifestyle for
Mhm.
sure. People, will make it more of a goal, like I want to compete on the stage for Miss Olympia, but that's short term, right?
Yes.
These things we're talking about, especially in prevention of health and disease and all these things, is lifelong. So we want to influence people, and I'm sure you do too, in your efforts with your clients, is to motivationally motivate them so that they make permanent changes for the rest of their life. So exercise becomes something they use forever,
Yeah.
and diet is something they focus on forever, not just for now. And
Mhm.
I think there's so much information out there. People are confused. That's
Yeah.
why we need people like you training them, and we need doctors like us guiding them, because the information is way too much. I keep it pretty
Yeah.
simple. Like, fitness and exercise is to keep strength and gain strength, and your diet is to maintain good health and lose. That's where you lose the fat, is
Yeah.
with what you eat and what you work out. That's my definition, to try and keep it simple, so people go home and they're like, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about working out to get thin. I'm like, no,
Right. Yeah.
we're going to work out for strength, and we're going to focus on what we eat to get whatever goals we're going for.
Yeah. And you're right. There is way too much information out there. And if you really are serious about it, find someone that can help guide you. That's the best way, where you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting your money, and you truly can get the most expedited results, because trying to figure it out on your own is not easy. Again, this is what I do for a living. If I was trying to go in and be a chiropractor, run. Any clients better run. I am not your girl, because I'm going to be trying to YouTube it. How do I do this? But, work with people who know what they're doing. So when it comes to health and fitness, align yourself with great people in regards to exercise, nutrition, the medical side, working with practitioners like you who can guide them in a healthy way, and get a group together that will work as a team.
Great advice. Absolutely. The accountability is what helps you move forward faster to your goals. You want to get to point A to point B faster, find the right transportation,
Yeah.
find the right people that will get you there faster. That's absolutely great. So I know nutrition could be a whole new episode. We're not going to get into that,
Yeah.
but sticking with fitness, what do you want to leave everyone with when they're getting into something new? Or, most people, I think, most Americans are sitting back. They're just kind
Yeah.
of not doing anything, period, and they need to do something. What
Yep.
would be your motivation for them to be like, listen, without threatening, death
Yeah.
and a heart attack, but what is the motivation to really move forward? And that's why I wanted to make sure everyone knew you were a mom of two, because
Mhm.
that's my motivation. I got 3 girls. That's my motivation, is to stay strong so I can chase them down, and more
Yeah.
so their boyfriends 10 years from now.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, right. What's your motivation or what would you guide people with for motivation?
Well, if you think about it, we all know some older people who you just feel sad for, like their life. It's funny because age, like we said, is just a number. So you may know someone who's 55 and you are shocked. You're like, oh my gosh, you're only 55? Because when I met you, I easily would have thought you were 75. And then sometimes you meet someone who's 75 and you're like, hold on, what? 75? I thought you were 50. So it's like you get to choose, you get to dictate how the rest of your life goes. Do you want to be getting out of bed going, oh my gosh, this hurts and aches, and you're walking with a hunchback, and everyone's like, oh man, look at that guy? Or do you want to have quality of life, range of motion? We can't avoid aging, but we can choose how our body feels as we get older. There's clearly so much proof that says, weight training, building lean quality muscle is the best way to feel your best as you age. Because as we age, our bodies naturally are tearing away at our muscle. The muscle is what allows us to have efficient metabolisms, where we can eat and have flexibility with what we eat. It helps in regards to your coordination. You hear those people who walk and they step off a curb and they just don't have that stability, the core strength, the muscular strength. They fall and break a hip. Now you're on crutches or a walker for 6 months, 9 months for what? Those are all things that you can choose to be proactive about. So I challenge anyone who's making these excuses of, gosh, it's just so much work. It's not that much work to go for a 15-minute walk around your neighborhood. We all are walking. So make it a point to be consistent and get your body into this routine, because the best thing is when you're doing it consistently, your body actually craves it. So then it doesn't become an issue of going, I got to tuck myself into doing this, but you're helping better yourself so that you can live and feel good longer. And let's be honest, you're either going to be putting your time and money into going to doctors, staying in the hospital, paying for all these medications because you're not healthy, or you're going to invest in a gym membership and new clothes because your clothes are fitting, they don't fit anymore because you've lost some weight. Where would you rather put your time and your money? Because it's going to be one or the other, and that is it. And never take activity for granted. There are people who don't have the ability to be active. Unfortunately, they may have a disability and they are going to be in a wheelchair the rest of their life. They would change places with you in a heartbeat just to be able to walk around the neighborhood. So when you're having a pity party for yourself, knock it off, because there are countless people all over the world who would trade places with you in a minute, who took for granted the ability to be active and didn't utilize what they had at their fingertips every minute of the day. So if you're not doing something for yourself, then you truly are just wasting away. And as parents, would we allow our kids to do that? No. So for me, it's been great to go, I need to set the example for my kids. I need to eat healthy. I need to make healthy choices. I need to show them that activity needs to be a regular part of their life, whatever it is they choose to do. But setting this as a routine, that's just part of your lifestyle.
Love it. Love it. Perspective, right? Putting things into perspective, taking a step back, being grateful for what you have. And the key to youth and longevity is lean muscle mass, good quality lean muscle mass. That's what I learned. Whitney, you're awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're an inspiration. I mean, follow Whitney on YouTube. I love the YouTube videos, the break dancing and all that. It's amazing what you can do. For the rest of my patients, don't even try it. Just get out there and just start exercising.
Totally, yes. Be careful. Be careful.
Be careful. Thank you so much. Take care.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
For sure.